Hey folks, how are you? It's a gloomy, overcast day here in Omaha this Saturday morning. These are the kind of days I like to tinker with music. So today will be a music day. I'm looking at my collages, and I did a little bit more work last night before I went to bed. But I'm thinking today I'm going to probably bust out some instruments and see. Excuse me, my cold is still coming through. See what happens. I'm just going to talk a little bit about music this morning. Some of you will be happy. Derek's talking about music. um, I just some people's. Okay. So vibing a little bit with some of the videos I watched before I went to bed last night. Um, Astral Traveler 68 is somebody that has a very similar approach to buying records as I do and listening, even though he is more Afrocentric than I am. But the man really has a good nose for the obscure. Man, Chris, you're tough. And you talked about Automatic Man. And I thought to myself, yeah, let me jump on this for a minute because first I want to say something because a while back, I know that I dissed Living Color. I didn't mean to diss Living Color. I'm so glad that Living Color did what they did. But this is my idea of a quote unquote black rock band. For me, these guys were the ultimate. Now I know people have talked about this band, Death and stuff back from the 60s. And man, I'm going to go ahead and say something else. I could name a bunch of bands from Omaha that were just as good as Death that never recorded, okay? That stuff is just all right to me. No, it's not groundbreaking. No. If I could talk like I could talk to real people, I just said, man, I know a bunch of ends that like Death. You know what I'm saying? This had a vision. Bayete. This is like coming. Man, I want to say the N word, but it won't translate. In Brothers from Space, and it captured a couple of really extra cool hunkies. Feel me, people. I don't mean nothing. This band was fucking bad. What I like about this and why this speaks to me so strongly was the sonicness of it, the bombastic. Really, I'm trying to write this music that's larger than life. Like the intro and the outro of this album. I love them because it's like you can hear. It's like they're trying to raise the dead or open a secret lock to an ancient or a future civilization or something with the music. It's very ambitious, but they do it. They get it. This is their first album, and it's the best of the two. And I love the cover. See how they actually got it? Yeah, see. So somebody had an idea that maybe this was something worthwhile. Actually went the extra and gave them a nice cover, embossed or whatever you call that when it's raised. Wonderful album. I don't think it got properly promoted. That's almost always the issue when stuff like this doesn't work. It's because people don't know how to promote it and get it out there to be heard. I agree with you, Astro Traveler. This is fan-frickin-tastic. Fan-frickin-tastic. Killer. Automatic Man. Straight dope for the ears. My idea of a black rock band. Black prog, whatever. Just a cool-ass rock and roll band that is fronted by a black man. Much more along the ideas of what my idea was never to have a black rock band. I just wanted to have a rock band. I was just pissed that I had to say black. That's part of what I was saying in my last video about what I can never have. I can never have what a lot of white people have, which is to just be considered a human. I know that I am, but man, I'm constantly reminded by dickheads and assholes in this world. Constantly reminded by their actions and their insensitivity. Okay, quick rant. They'll never go away, people. Never. I also have Automatic Man's second album. This is not up to standard. It's like the first record didn't do what it was supposed to do, so here come the accountants. Here come the motherfuckers that fuck everything up, which is, well, we have to make money now. You know, the same thing that I'm facing. Well, eventually I'm going to have to make money now. I hope I don't have to get out there and hustle my behind, or, you know, of course I don't, but you know what I'm saying, you know. Feel me, people. Feel me. So what started out really good ended up in the shitter because they had to bow to record pressure to make something more accessible. Right? Something that maybe could be heard on the radio. Let's go for a crossover. Did they deboss this too? Son of a bitch. They did both of them. Now that surprises me that they got both album covers. How about that? I wonder if Bayete had enough pull to say, y'all gonna do both my covers like this now, come on. Because that's cool, but this is not up to the first one. If you find this, probably some of y'all like this more than me. When it starts to become kind of just regular R&B sounding, I'm out of here. I've explained myself enough now that people who know me won't be getting upset about me saying that I'm not into regular R&B. Y'all know who I am. And with that in mind, some R&B that I do think that was also kind of not cutting edge, but why didn't this guy cross over? The band that he was in crossed over. Why didn't he? Why didn't Andre Simone? This is killer. This ain't no son of a Prince either, in my opinion. This is Simone, who I think was part of the sound of the Prince's first band. I love this album. Straight pop. Straight electro pop with that Minneapolis funk groove. That's what I'm going to call it, not Prince. I'm going to call it the Minneapolis groove, because back in my younger days, I was up in Minneapolis every other weekend. Partying, going to shows, getting crazy on the streets. Yeah, me. Survived it too. Had some close brushes downtown in some areas where I didn't realize just how bad of an area I was in. Why didn't it happen, ladies? Isn't that sexy enough for y'all? Pardon me. I can be so facetious sometimes. But I was over in this section of my records. Well, you know, getting the Automatic Man, and then I spotted this. I said, let me talk about Simone for a while. He's got a couple other albums. This is my favorite. Big Star 1000 is talking about post-punk, and I'm not going to jump onto that right now. I got a bunch of that too. A lot of it I don't have. A lot of what he showed I don't have anymore. I had it. That was back in my heyday. Post-punk. And I was all over that. But just like anything, because it was so of the time and of my time, I sold a lot of those records. And I'll say in this video, the reason why I ever bothered to kind of disparage Talking Heads is not because I don't think they're good. They are very good. But here in Omaha, I think that, again, the other musicians of limited scope, I'm just saying it how I see it, deified Talking Heads as though they were the best thing that happened since you know, whatever, at the time, which just wasn't true. There were so many other bands that were just as good, probably even more groundbreaking, but people couldn't hear it. And that's what always my attitude is about certain big bands. It's like, yeah, these guys are good, but have you ever heard this? Have you heard that? Can you get to it? But something that goes back, and I have to look and see what is the date. I was thinking of ESG when I pulled this. This is another one of those records where this is a classic beat record. A guy called Gerald, Voodoo Ray. Somebody knows Voodoo Ray besides me. You talk about ESG and Moody and how amazing that stuff is, which it is. Here's another one of a later time period. Somebody talked to me that knows about Voodoo Ray and how that blew up the clubs, man. I do not know the date of this. I remember when I first heard Voodoo Ray, I said, what the fuck is that? Voodoo Ray. Badass. Badass. So that was I brought this out thinking about ESG, because the girls from ESG just doing their thing, you know what I mean? Just being real natural made some of the most timeless dance music that I've ever heard. Moody, ESG. Yeah, I used to have an original, like I said, out of my mind. I sold it. They're priceless now, the originals. On 99 Records, yeah, I had it. This is another one of those. If you don't know it, somebody else that knows this record, talk about it. Talking about punk and post-punk, though, I pulled this because I was in the Bees, and I'm going to play this. I haven't listened to it in a while. Bethnal, okay? And this band, Dangerous Times, they did a version of Baba O'Reilly, kind of a punky version that was kind of, I think it gave them some notoriety, but just some. Really good band. Interesting, one of the few kind of punk type of bands to end up on the Vertigo label. Interracial, which again was important to me at the time. Anytime I could see the mixing, it gave me hope. You know what I'm saying? Always looking for hope. So it's a custom label, but it's Vertigo. This is really dynamic. This is wonderful for you punker, post-punker folks. If you don't know Bethnal, here's one for you. Okay. Pulled a couple more records from that portion, the Bees, because that's how it goes with my collection. You know, I have so many records, I just have to remind myself what's in here. And here's a record that goes along with some of the more adventurous or open-minded types of music that I listen to and like to talk about. Steve Beresford, The Bath of Surprise. Now, this man has quite a background musically. I'm not prepared to talk about it this morning because I have not brushed up. I used to be able to just pop it off. This is incredible. All kinds of stuff is going on here. This is one of those people who does experimental things very successfully. Kind of like Ron Geeson, for example. But this came out, this is on Piano Records, David Cunningham's label. This is in the 80s. And it appears that many of these recordings were made in 1977, some in 1980. And he explains here, wow, most of these things are just really interesting. Like he's using foot clickers on one, a giggle stick, a toy synthesizer, world tubes, cassette of previous performance, also using phone conversations. This is a fantastic listening experience. Really, really fantastic. The Bath of Surprise. That's a great title for it because each piece is very unique. You don't know you really don't know what to expect from piece to piece. Steve Beresford. Bath of Surprise. Like I said, depending on, I'm gonna crank my studio up here in a minute and see what happens. Depending on what happens, these records may get spun today, they may not. The other thing that caught my eye that I haven't listened to in a while is Tim Berne. What is the name of this one? Fulton Street Mall. I listened to this not too long ago, and I still can't tell you what I heard. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that means I just have more work to do. And I'm the sort of listener that I do like to be challenged. I don't just want to be entertained. Something I learned a long time ago is that when I have to work for it, I get something out of it worthwhile every time. Just speaking for myself, but that has a lot to do with why I'm not a nostalgic listener. I'm not up here listening to all my old Genesis. I'm not playing Boston. I bought Boston when it came out on LP. It's why I don't just sit up here a lot of times and just listen to comfort music. I do sometimes, you know, but mostly it's like, okay, what next? Okay, what's on here? What's going on here? What are these people doing? What are they thinking? Honestly, one of the things that I'm thinking about when I listen to music is why. Why did they do this? Why are they playing this music like this? Bill Frisell is on here. Excellent. Looks like the Klein, Nels Klein's people are on here. Not Nels Klein, but Alex Klein, his brother. There's a Karen Klein on here. I bet you she's related. This looks good. Just don't remember what I heard, so it's staying out. And I'm just, I'm certain there's at least a couple of other folks in the community that know about Tim Berne and have his records. So I'd love to have y'all talk to us about Mr. Berne. I think the last thing I want to say before I sign off is Dereck 3 keeps selling. It's wonderful. Every day I sell at least one record, if not two. So, for your information, we are fast approaching only 30 copies left, people. I've got 39 copies left. If you want it, you better come and get it. I'm not repressing it. I have made enough after paying off Sequoia Flame and my other cat. I have enough in the bank, and I'm keeping it separate from my regular account. I have enough in my music account now to cover the costs, the basic costs of pressing my next album. I have enough. I don't have enough for the mastering and stuff, and that money is dedicated to music. I don't want to touch it except to make another record. I'm so thankful for this. Just amazing. Just amazing. It's very, very, very inspiring. So I'm just letting you know, people, if there's some of you out there that are contemplating, they'll be around, I'll get one. I don't think they will. I think you better come and get one if you want it. Have a good one, everyone.